Vineyards changing hands, too many grapes, wine robots, all that and more on this episode of This Week Uncorked. Hello and welcome to episode 1 of This Week Uncorked. This is the Cork and Journey weekly podcast covering wine news and reviews of wineries, wines, and restaurants. If you aren't familiar with Cork and Journey, it's the #1 source for finding your favorite restaurants' corkage fees. I'm your host, Brett Martin, co-publisher of Cork and Journey. And now let's get right on into the news. All right, well, we have another vineyard acquisition. Darioush Winery has purchased a 21-acre vineyard near Yountville in Napa for approximately $10 million from Eric Grigsby and Mary Roca. The vineyard was planned with 20 acres of vines and certified organic since 2005. It produces Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cab Franc, Syrah. Plans for the newly acquired vineyard remain undisclosed, and Grigsby and Roca, who also own Roca Family Vineyards and Palace Market, have not commented on the sale. But it's another trend we see with a lot of vineyards changing hands. Kind of nice to see this one's not going to a major corporation, though. Also, there's an interesting article being reported over at Wine Business that a significant portion of California's 2024 wine harvest may go to waste due to a dramatic lack of buyers for grapes. We've heard about this before. This follows the 2020 fire season that left many grapes unharvested due to smoke tank damage. And this year, the issue is not smoke, but an economic downturn within the wine industry itself. Declining global wine consumption, increased imports, high farming costs. All this resulting in vineyards such as D'Ambrosio and Napa. They've been unable to sell their grapes, facing potential losses as high as $500,000. Industry leaders have called for reducing vineyard acreage to address the oversupply, yet many growers simply abandon their crops, exacerbating the problem. If this trend continues, the current oversupply could lead to severe shortage in the future, straining a long-standing relationship between growers and wineries. And continuing with the slowdown, on the completely other side of the world, the Australian grape crush is up 9%. You think that would be good, totaling 1.4 million tons, but the upturn is just following a previous low in 2023 and is below the 10-year average. The rise was primarily driven by white grapes, which increased 19%, while red grapes are experiencing a decline. Chardonnay most notably surpassed Syrah. The total crush value in 2024 for Australia is 1.1 billion Australian, slightly higher than the previous year, although it's a decrease year over year. The context underscores, there's ongoing challenges that are being faced by the Australian wine industry. There's a consumer shift away from reds, more towards whites, less wine, and it's dramatically affecting imports and exports across the board there. So, bit of a problem in Australia, but their crush is up. So they've got that going for them. Hey, on some happier news, we are coming up on the 20th anniversary of the movie Sideways. And if you don't know, the movie Sideways was based on a book called Sideways by Rex Pickett. And if you've seen the movie and you've never read the book, well, you're missing out. In fact, there are 4 books that tell the story of Miles and Jack, and they just keep that alive. So if you want to head over to Rex Pickett Books, that's rexpickettbooks.com, you can pick up a signed copy. You can actually even put in there whatever you want Rex to write in it, and he will add that right in. And be sure to use the code CORK10 and get 10% off your entire order. Again, that's over at rexpickettbooks.com. Rex is a friend of the show, and love to support him. And if you haven't read the novels, they are fantastic. All right, well, we've heard of Sober October going on with the news, but how about Come Over October? This is a new campaign aimed at shifting the narrative around wine and alcohol consumption. So instead of being Sober October, it's like, let's drink wine in October. It's set to launch this October 2024. It's a national marketing initiative that advocates people to come together over a glass of wine and celebrate events or simply reconnect with one another. Just get drunk. Anyway, the campaign emphasizes the positive aspects of wine as a beverage that brings friends and family together, countering the negative connotation often associated with alcohol. The campaign promotes wine-related events, tastings, experiences throughout October. Anyway, you can check this out at comeoveroctober.com. Why not? Cheers with my Cork and Journey coffee mug. Soon to be available on the website, by the way. Check them out. All right, let's talk about robots everywhere. I talked about it in the teaser here. Automated assisted harvesters are becoming a thing. I know that Carlo Mondavi, or one of the Mondavi brothers, is doing something with automation. Anyway, New Zealand-based tech company Smart Machines is partnering with Pelnick America to introduce their innovative Oxin vineyard and orchard robot in the U.S. market. It's autonomous, multitasking robot, has already shown success in New Zealand and Australian vineyards and orchards as well. And the first demonstrations in California's North Coast are scheduled for July. It's basically a self-driving harvester tractor. If you've ever seen these things at work, they're absolutely amazing. Usually they're driven by somebody, but the way they're able to harvest the vines, pretty cool. All right, and growers in California are having to irrigate to beat the heat. If you're not aware, the entire Southwest is experiencing one massive heat wave right now. And Lodi and Paso Robles are really starting to feel it. You've had temperatures excess 100 degrees for a very long time. Growers like Duff Bevel and Jim Lincoln have ramped up irrigation cycles before the heat wave, hoping to do it. They're ensuring their vineyards can withstand these conditions. Ben Kolber and Arian Lang also have implemented irrigation strategies to mitigate the effects of the heat. Let's hope it doesn't last too long. I mean, last year was an absolutely perfect season, perfect harvest. It's getting a little rough this year with the heat. It's just been ongoing, so hopefully that drops down. And also the science of farming. So a substantial multi-year study is being led by Dr. Christina Lezcano from UC Davis, and it's exploring the effects of regenerative viticulture practices on soil and health across 12 West Coast vineyards. This is mainly being funded by the Jackson Family Wines, but you've also got the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the California Department of Food and Agriculture chipping in on the $2.5 million cost. And it basically focuses on a combination of practices like cover cropping, no-till farming, composting, to understand the collective impact on the soil and the behavior of the carbon cycling, water retention, vine health. If you don't follow this, basically there's so much science that goes into farming that it is crazy what they go to see what's going to be the best. And as we move toward organic, as we move away from pesticides, this just becomes a big deal, and they need to understand this. So anyway, nice little research going on there involving many academic and agricultural institutions. So hopefully they're planning on publishing their preliminary findings later this year. And with that, let's check out our wine and winery of the week. All right, I'm excited about this. So our winery and wines that we're going to highlight this week is Matthiasson Winery in Napa. And if you haven't tried their wines, you are in for a really big treat. You know, in Napa, things are pretty crazy. Usually opulence reigns supreme. Not at Matthiasson. This is a down-to-earth winery with just the nicest people working there. And in my opinion, absolutely some of the best wines you can ever drink out of Napa. Most of their grapes, all grapes, are organic. You know, the great thing is that, you know, Steve and Jill Matthiasson's, they've got a hands-on approach. They assure every single bottle speaks to their values. They have their own vineyards. They manage other vineyards. Just absolutely beautiful winery. Visitors, you know, when you go to their tasting room, you're greeted not only with a glass of finely crafted Napa wine, but with the kind of warm and generous hospitality. It leaves a lasting impression. It really does. It underscores the authenticity of the Matthiasson experience. We've really never had a bad wine from Matthiasson, but you know what? I want to highlight two of them here today. First, we're going to start with their 2021 Matthiasson Chardonnay. This is basically, in my opinion, a masterclass in Chardonnay winemaking. In contrast to the big oaky Chardonnays, if you're a big oaky Chardonnay person, maybe this isn't for you. Personally, I'm not. So it's just a superb Chardonnay, and we gave it 93 points. It's $38 a bottle. That is a solid 5 on our value scale. If you go to corkandjourney.com, we'll explain that to you. But just a really crisp, beautiful Chardonnay, kind of in the Chablis style. So if you like, you know, Chardonnay from over in France, you're really gonna love this. And then let's talk about one of their killer reds, and they've got a lot of them. I think I checked on their website today before we went on, and I think they've got 13 or 14 different varietals that are and vintages that are going right now. They're for sale on their website. This is another one from 2021. It's the Matthiasson Dead Fred Cabernet Sauvignon, and this is a stunner. We gave it 95 points outstanding at $95 a bottle. It might seem pricey, but for a Napa Cab, that is a true bargain. The Dead Fred Vineyard is owned by Lisa Court and David Goldman. It's located in the Coombsville AVA of Napa Valley. And Steve Matthiasson has been taking care of this vineyard since 2012, really embracing organic farming methods. He's transformed the vineyard in just some really unique qualities. He's just nurtured the vine. These grapes reflect the true essence of the terroir. The dedication is just, you just taste it in every sip of this wine. It is a beautiful, deep cab. What does the name come from? Well, Dave and Lisa, they had a cat named Fred. It died. They buried it somewhere in the vineyard. And so it's the Dead Fred Vineyard. You probably can taste it a little bit in the bottle, but it's fine. Anyway, check that out. Dead Fred Cabernet Sauvignon from Matthiasson. Again, it's a real winner. And you can read about all of these reviews over at Cork and Journey. As a matter of fact, if you just search for Matthiasson, all three of these things that we've talked about will come up, so you can go ahead and check that out. Big shout out to Matthiasson Vineyards and all of their wines. And if you're in Napa, be sure to pay them a visit. And with that, let's talk about our restaurant and Corkage of the Week. All right, well, from Napa Valley to Las Vegas we go. So our restaurant of the week is Stripsteak. It is in the Mandalay Bay Casino and Hotel. This is a modern, chic little restaurant. Freestanding tables, lovely little booths. It's just kind of a classic place. It's from Michael Mina Restaurant. If you know Michael Mina, he does some really interesting stuff. And I would highly recommend that you check this out. It's got incredible seafood. It has beautiful steaks. There really isn't much you can say that's bad about this place across the board. It's just a great restaurant. The service was absolutely fantastic. The wine list is big. A lot of Chardonnays. 5 pages of Cabernets, California Cabernets. That's what you expect. It is a steakhouse. 3 pages of Bordeaux. You've also got some other interesting wines that are in there as well. One of the things I will mention, on the little feed there, you'll notice that we were drinking Overture. I think we paid a little over $300 for that bottle. And, you can get Overture for about $150. So you're looking at a minimum 2x markup on the wine, which is a little higher than most restaurants, but it's significant in that most of their wines, they've got some really good wines. So you do a 2x markup, you're definitely paying the price. So you know what? You should head over to Cork and Journey and you can look up corkage fees because that's pretty much what we do. And the corkage over at Stripsteak is $50 a bottle. So maybe you want to bring in your own bottle of Dead Fred, like we were talking about earlier. So you paid $95 for this. You're going to pay $50 for your corkage fee. You're still ahead of the game, and you know what you're getting, and you know what you're drinking. So most restaurants in Las Vegas do allow corkage. Stripsteak is one of them. You'll find it varies from place to place to place as to whether or not the restaurant is independent or not. So like if you go into somewhere like the Mandalay Bay, Stripsteak is a Michael Mina restaurant. It's different than another restaurant. So you will have different corkage fees depending on where you go. So you can't just be certain you want to call ahead, or better yet, you want to go to corkandjourney.com, type in the name of your restaurant. More than likely, we have all of the corkage information that is there. Caveat though, that I will say on the wine list over here at Stripsteak and the corkage at Stripsteak is that it's $50 a bottle, two bottle minimum or maximum, I should say. But if the wine's on the list, you can't bring it in. So you want to go online, look at that wine list. We actually have their wine list online or on the Corkage site as well. You can look at that, make sure the wine you're bringing in isn't on the list. And if you do choose something like that Matthiasson, odds are it's so niche that it won't be there at all. All right, and that's going to wrap up our very first episode of This Week Uncorked. We hope you enjoyed it. This will come to you every single Wednesday, so be sure to head on over to youtube.com/corkandjourney and check out our episodes as well as the other videos we have there. And if you haven't, please subscribe to our newsletter so you get all of the latest news, wine, and corkage fees. Follow us on Facebook, X, whatever social media platform you like. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.